Adam paced back and forth inside the cold, metallic room of the Galactic Council. His heart raced, and his palms felt clammy. The lights above buzzed faintly, casting an almost eerie glow on the dark walls. It was hard to believe this was happening. To him. Him, of all people, a human, a mere diplomat in the grand scheme of things. Yet, here he stood, summoned to the most powerful body in the galaxy, the Galactic Council. His mind tried to process what he had just been told. No, demanded. It was a demand, not a request. The council members, towering alien figures from across, the stars, watched him with unreadable expressions. Their different-colored eyes glimmered, and the air felt thick with tension. They had given him their verdict, and there was no escape. The law was absolute. You must spend one night with each of the 5 royal sisters, Adam. The words echoed in his mind, though the speaker's voice had been cold, emotionless, as if delivering a simple fact. He had known of the galactic law, of course. Every diplomat did. It had been in place for centuries, an ancient law that had been passed down for the sake of intergalactic peace. The 5 royal sisters, each representing a different species, were bound to the law, and it was a necessary part of their leadership roles. It had to be upheld for peace to reign. But now that the law was being forced on him, Adam couldn't believe it. He thought he had done everything right. He had been sent here to negotiate, to represent Earth, to protect humanity's interests. But this was not part of the plan. The law demanded he spend one night with each of the 5 alien sisters, and if he refused, the consequences were severe. One wrong move, and entire civilizations could fall into chaos. The Council's leader, Zarnok, a towering alien with shimmering blue skin, spoke again. Failure to comply will result in the collapse of the treaty. Your people will suffer, Adam. Do not underestimate the importance of this law. Adam swallowed hard, trying to keep his composure. He had always prided himself on his ability to remain calm under pressure. But this was beyond anything he had ever imagined. His mind raced as he tried to process the weight of the situation. He had no choice. Refusal was not an option. One night, he muttered to himself. One night with each of them. How is this even? The room fell silent, the council members watching him closely. Zarnok's gaze seemed to pierce right through him. You have been chosen, Adam. There is no other path. If you defy this, it will destroy the peace we have worked so hard to build. Adam didn't answer. Instead, he focused on the alien faces in front of him. They were all so different, so powerful. Each of the 5 royal sisters came from a unique species, and each one held immense influence within the galaxy. The weight of their words and their power was overwhelming. But as the cold reality of his situation set in, a strange thought crossed Adam's mind. He wasn't just being forced into this out of cruelty or malice. The law itself had been created to preserve peace. Each sister, each species was bound by their traditions, and Adam, as a human representative, had to fulfill his role. This wasn't just about him. It was about more than just one night with each of the royal sisters. It was about something bigger. The galaxy's balance rested in his hands. This was his duty, and it was the only way to ensure that humanity would continue to have a place in this vast, intergalactic world. Still, the idea of spending one night with each of these powerful, mysterious women unsettled him. What was expected of him? He couldn't help but wonder. Was it truly about diplomatic duties, or was there something more? Zarnok's voice brought him back to reality. You will meet the first sister shortly. Her name is Asha, and she is the warrior princess of Nayana. Prepare yourself, Adam. The law must be upheld. With those words, the council members rose, their towering figures disappearing into the shadows. Adam was left standing alone in the cold room, his thoughts a whirlwind. Asha, the first sister. He couldn't help but think about her, about what meeting her would be like. Would she be kind? Or would she, like the others, view him as nothing more than a pawn in their political game? He didn't know what to expect, but he knew this much. The next few days would change everything. As Adam walked out of the council chamber, his steps were heavy. He wasn't just a diplomat anymore. He was a piece in a much larger game, and he had no idea how it would all play out. Adam took a deep breath as he stood outside the massive door. The symbol of Nayana, a fierce-looking bird of prey, was etched into the cold metal, a reminder of the first sister he was about to meet, Princess Asha. His heart pounded in his chest. What did he expect? What was expected of him? He didn't. No, and that uncertainty gnawed at him. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and he stepped inside. The room was large, with high ceilings and walls that seemed to stretch on forever. At the center of it all stood Asha. She was a striking figure, tall, muscular, and exuding a presence that demanded respect. Her dark skin glistened under the dim lighting. Her piercing eyes focused on him as if she could read his every thought. The way she held herself, so confident and regal, left no room for doubt. This was a woman who commanded armies, who was used to being in control. Asha's voice was calm, but carried an edge of authority. "You're late, human." Adam swallowed, trying not to show how her presence affected him. He had expected her to be powerful, but the reality was even more intimidating. "I apologize, Your Highness," he said, his voice steady despite his nerves. Asha's lips curled into a faint, knowing smile. "No need for formalities, human. You're here for one reason, and you'll do as the law demands." Adam nodded, unsure of what to say. He had heard of Asha before, of course. The Princess of Nayana was known for her military prowess, her leadership, skills, and her unshakable confidence. But no amount of preparation could have prepared him for the sheer force of her presence. "Sit," she ordered, gesturing to a low seat by a table that was filled with various strange and unfamiliar foods. "You will eat with me." Adam hesitated but took a seat, not wanting to appear disrespectful. The air between them was thick with tension, but neither of them spoke for a long while. The silence was almost oppressive, as if they were both trying to figure each other out. Finally, Asha spoke again, her voice quieter but no less commanding. "You don't look like much. I expected more from a human diplomat." Adam couldn't help but frown. "What do you mean?" Asha's gaze softened just slightly, though her posture remained rigid. "You humans have a reputation for resilience, for adaptability. I was curious if you'd live up to it." Adam straightened in his seat, meeting her gaze. "I'm here to represent my people. I'll do whatever is necessary to ensure peace." Asha studied him for a moment, her sharp eyes narrowing. "Peace? That's what this is all about, isn't it?" She paused, as if contemplating something. "Do you know why the law exists, human?" Adam wasn't sure how to answer. He had read the records, studied the history, but something about Asha's question made him feel like he was missing something important. "I know it's to maintain balance between the species, to prevent war." Asha's lips tightened, her eyes narrowing. "Yes, that's part of it. But the law is not just about peace. It's about control. Each of us, the sisters, are bound by it. We have no choice, no freedom in this matter." Adam felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard rumors of the sisters' struggles, of the pressure they were under, but he hadn't fully understood what they meant until now. "And you want me to?" "Fulfill the law," she finished for him. "But it's more than that. I want to see if you're worthy of what's coming. If you have the strength, the resilience, the ability to endure what will come next." The words hung in the air, and Adam didn't know how to respond. What did she mean by that? Was it just about spending the night with her as the law dictated, or was there something deeper at play? He wasn't sure if he wanted to know the answer. For the rest of the evening, they spoke little, the tension between them growing. Asha seemed to have little interest in making him comfortable. She asked questions, probing him for weaknesses, testing him with difficult topics. Despite the coldness of her words, Adam could sense that she was struggling with something beneath the surface, something that went beyond her pride, beyond the expectations placed on her. As the night drew to a close, Asha stood up, her back straight, her regal aura returning. "You have survived the first test, human, but do not think that this will be easy. Tomorrow you will face the next sister, and each one will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine." Adam stood as well, his legs slightly unsteady from the long hours of conversation and the emotional weight of it all. "I'll do my best." Asha gave him a sharp look as if considering something. "Your best may not be enough, but you'll learn that soon enough." She turned away, and the door slid open behind him. As Adam stepped back into the corridor, he couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. This was only the beginning. And already, the weight of the galactic law and the sisters who embodied it felt heavier than anything he had ever faced. The following day, Adam found himself in a different room, this time standing before the entrance to the chambers of Lyra, the second royal sister. Her species was known for its psychic abilities, and Adam had been briefed on the complexities of dealing with someone like her. He wasn't sure how to prepare for what was to come. Asha had been a challenge in her own way, but Lyra, with her mental powers, would be something else entirely. The door slid open, and Lyra stood inside, her figure tall and graceful, her long hair flowing like liquid silver. Her pale skin shimmered slightly in the dim light, and her violet eyes locked onto his with an intensity that made Adam feel exposed, as if she could read every secret hidden in the corners of his mind. "Come in, human," Lyra said, her voice smooth and calm, but there was an edge to it, a coolness that matched her demeanor. She didn't offer a smile, didn't offer anything. Just an invitation and a challenge. Adam stepped inside, trying to ignore the knot forming in his stomach. There was something unsettling about the way Lyra looked at him. It wasn't just curiosity or disinterest. It was as if she were already peeling away the layers of his thoughts and emotions, seeing him for exactly who he was. He wasn't sure if he liked it. Lyra gestured to a low, cushioned seat in the center of the room. "Sit. We'll begin soon." Adam hesitated for a moment before taking a seat, feeling her gaze on him the entire time. She didn't speak right away, and for several long moments the room was quiet. The silence was thick, oppressive even, and Adam couldn't help but feel like he was being weighed, measured, judged in ways he didn't fully understand. "You're wondering how this is going to go, aren't you?" Lyra finally spoke, her voice almost a whisper, but Adam heard every word clearly. "I can sense your thoughts, human. Your unease, your confusion. Don't worry. I'll make it clear soon enough." Adam swallowed, unsure of how to respond. There was no point in denying it. He was uneasy, he was confused, and the idea that she could read his thoughts only made it worse. "I don't want to waste time with pleasantries," Lyra continued, her violet eyes narrowing slightly. "You're here because the law demands it, just as I am. But unlike Asha, I am not concerned with tests of strength or endurance. I am interested in something else." Adam met her gaze. "What is it you want?" A small, almost imperceptible smile flickered across her face. "I want to know how far you'll go. I want to see if you can handle the weight of what you've agreed to. This law is not just a test for you, Adam. It's a test for all of us. Do you truly understand what you've gotten yourself into?" Adam took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He had thought he understood the law, thought he knew what was expected of him. But with every passing moment, it became clearer that this was not as simple as fulfilling an obligation. There were layers to this that went far beyond what he had been told. He wasn't just a human pawn in a political game. He was part of something far bigger, something that none of them truly controlled. "I don't know," he admitted. "I thought I did. But the more I see, the less I understand." Lyra's eyes softened just slightly, and for the first time, Adam saw a flicker of something else in her gaze. It wasn't pity or sympathy. No, it was more like a shared understanding, a mutual recognition that neither of them was in control, that neither of them was truly free in this situation. "You'll learn," she said quietly, almost to herself. "We all have our roles to play, and sometimes we must accept what we cannot change." The air between them grew heavy, and Adam could feel the pressure of Lyra's presence even more keenly now. It was like an invisible force pressing down on him from all sides. He had always heard of psychic abilities, telepathy, telekinesis, mind control, but to experience it, to feel it firsthand, was something different altogether. It was as if she were in his mind, in his very thoughts, watching every decision he made. But there was something about Lyra's presence that was different from Asha's. Asha had been a force of nature, a wall of strength and power. Lyra, on the other hand, was subtle. Her power didn't need to shout. It just was. And in that stillness, Adam could feel himself unraveling, piece by piece. "So, what happens now?" he asked, his voice betraying the tension building inside. Him. "What's the test you have for me?" Lyra's smile grew a little wider. "It's simple, really. I'll ask you questions, personal questions, and you will answer honestly, or you will leave here feeling like a stranger to yourself." Adam's heart skipped a beat. This wasn't going to be like the previous night. There would be no physical challenges, no displays of strength or skill. This was going to be a test of something far more uncomfortable. His mind, his emotions, his very core. She leaned forward slightly, and in that moment, Adam realized how much he was truly exposed to her. It wasn't just his body in the room, with her. It was everything he was, everything he thought, everything he feared. "You're not just representing your people, Adam," Lyra said softly. "You're representing yourself. And that may be the hardest thing of all." Adam swallowed again, the weight of her words sinking in. This wasn't just about surviving this law. It was about facing his own truths. And that, more than anything else, was the true test. The next morning, Adam found himself once again standing outside the door to the chambers of another royal sister. This time it was Selene, the third sister, and from everything he had been told, she was unlike the others. While Asha and Lyra had used strength and intellect to challenge him, Selene's species was known for its ability to manipulate emotions. She had the power to influence desires, to make others feel things that were not entirely their own. Adam had no idea what to expect, but he knew this would be another test of his self-control. The door opened and Adam was greeted by a room bathed in soft, golden light. Selene stood at the center, her presence graceful and serene, but there was an unmistakable intensity to her gaze. Her long dark hair cascaded down her back, and her skin had a delicate, almost ethereal glow. She didn't speak right away, but simply watched him as he entered, the air between them charged with an undeniable tension. "Come in, human," Selene said, her voice like a soothing melody. "Don't be shy." Adam stepped inside, his heart racing in anticipation. There was something calming yet dangerous about her, something he couldn't quite place. She moved toward him with fluid grace, each step deliberate, as if she were carefully measuring every action. "You're nervous," she observed, her eyes glinting with a knowing look. "I can feel it. You don't need to be, you know." Adam didn't know how to respond. He wasn't sure if he should be afraid, intrigued, or just confused. His mind raced as he tried to figure out what she meant. Was she manipulating him already? Or was this just the way she naturally affected people? "I'm not nervous," he said, though the words came out more as a statement of denial than truth. Celine smiled gently, but there was something in the way she looked at him that sent a shiver down his spine. "Oh, but you are. Your heart beats faster, your thoughts are scattered. You're thinking about what you have to do here, and you're unsure of yourself. But you shouldn't be. You don't need to resist me. It will only make it harder for you." Adam's breath caught in his throat. He could feel it now, the subtle shift in his thoughts, the growing sense of unease that wasn't entirely his own. He had heard that Celine's species had the ability to make others feel what they wanted them to feel, but experiencing it firsthand was something entirely different. Her presence seemed to cloud his mind, making him question his own emotions. "What are you doing to me?" he asked, his voice slightly shaky despite himself. Celine stepped closer, her eyes never leaving his. "I'm not doing anything, Adam. I'm just letting you feel what you're already feeling. You think you're in control, but the truth is, you've been uncertain from the start. You've been questioning everything, doubting yourself, doubting your place in all of this." Her words resonated deep within him, and for a moment, he felt as though he were standing on the edge of something he couldn't fully grasp. His thoughts were no longer entirely his own, and the emotional weight of it all began to bear down on him. Celine wasn't just reading his mind, she was amplifying his doubts, making them feel real. "I'm not like the others," she said softly, as if sensing his confusion. "Asha and Lyra challenged you in different ways. They tested your strength and your mind, but I will test your emotions, your desires, your ability to confront what you truly want, even if you're afraid of it." Adam shook his head, trying to clear the fog in his mind. This was different from the previous nights. He wasn't just being tested for his physical or mental strength. Now, he was being forced to confront things inside himself that he hadn't even realized were there. Celine reached out and gently touched his arm, and he felt a warmth spread through him. It was subtle, but it was there, like a spark igniting something deep within him. His pulse quickened, his body responding to her touch, and he couldn't deny the pull, the attraction. But it wasn't just physical. It was something deeper, a feeling that made him question his own motivations, his own desires. "Don't fight it," Celine whispered. "You don't have to be afraid of what you feel. You are here because the law demands it. But you're also here because a part of you wants to be. You want to see what it's like to be with someone like me. Don't lie to yourself, Adam." Her words cut through him like a blade, and he struggled to stay ground. Ed, was she right? Had he wanted this all along? He couldn't tell anymore. The line between right and wrong, desire and duty, had blurred so much that he wasn't sure what was real and what was being influenced by her power. "I don't want to be controlled," he said, his voice a little firmer now. Celine's eyes softened, and for a moment, she almost seemed human. "You're not being controlled, Adam. You're simply being given the chance to confront your own fears, your own desires. It's not about me. It's about you." Adam took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He didn't know how to navigate this. He didn't know how to navigate her. But he knew one thing for sure. This wasn't just about spending a night with another royal sister. This was about confronting the deepest parts of himself that he had spent his life trying to ignore. And for the first time since he had arrived on the ship, Adam wasn't sure if he was ready for what was to come next. The following day, Adam found himself standing outside yet another set of chambers. This time, he was to meet Ilya, the fourth royal sister. Unlike the others, Ilya was known for her military prowess. She had earned respect across the galaxy for her strategic mind and her unyielding will. Adam had heard rumors that she was as tough as any soldier, and he couldn't help but feel the weight of the challenge ahead. As the door slid open, Adam entered the room and immediately noticed the difference. The room had no luxurious decorations, no soft lights. Instead, it felt like a training hall, stark, functional, and unforgiving. There were weapons on the walls, and the air felt tense, with an energy that was both intimidating and invigorating. Ilya stood in the center of the room, her posture rigid, her eyes sharp. She was dressed in simple combat attire, and the difference in her appearance compared to her sisters was striking. There was no elegance here, no softness. She was a warrior through and through, and it showed. "Come in, human," she said, her voice direct and commanding. "We have much to discuss." Adam stepped into the room, trying to maintain his composure. He had expected this, but now that he was face to face with Ilya, he couldn't help but feel a mixture of awe and apprehension. She was a force to be reckoned with, and he knew that tonight would be unlike anything he had faced before. "Sit," she commanded, motioning to a small chair beside a table covered in maps and tactical plans. "We begin with strategy. You will be tested on your ability to think, act, and adapt under pressure. You'll need to keep your wits sharp." Adam sat down, not knowing exactly what to expect. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't used to military tactics or high-pressure situations like Ilya was. But he was here, and he had no choice but to face this challenge head-on. Ilya didn't waste any time. "We're going to play a game," she said. "You'll be the commander of a fleet, and I'll give you a scenario. You'll have to make decisions quickly, and there will be no time to second-guess yourself. If you fail, we start over. If you succeed, we move to the next test." Adam nodded, trying to focus. This was something he could handle. He had always prided himself on being quick on his feet, even if it wasn't in the realm of military strategy. He could think through a problem, make decisions under pressure. Ilya began the first scenario, detailing a battle between two planets on the edge of the galaxy. Adam listened carefully, trying to understand the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. She threw in curveballs, an ambush here, a betrayal there, but Adam kept his focus, working through the options and making his choices. The clock ticked, and with each passing second, the pressure mounted. He made decisions, and Ilya watched him closely, her eyes never leaving his face. Each choice was scrutinized. Each move tested his ability to think ahead, to anticipate the consequences of his actions. With every mistake he made, she corrected him, explaining what he should have done differently, how he could have turned the tide of the battle in his favor. By the time the scenario ended, Adam was exhausted. His mind was racing, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he had been under a microscope the entire time. Ilya didn't offer praise, but neither did she scold him. She simply set up another scenario and started again. "You learn quickly," she said, though her tone was neutral. "But remember, speed is just as important as accuracy. You must act with confidence even when you're not sure." Adam nodded, wiping the sweat from his brow. "I understand." The scenarios continued, each one more complex than the last. And with each one, Adam's understanding grew. He wasn't just making choices about strategy. He was learning how to trust his instincts, how to lead with purpose. Ilya wasn't just testing his knowledge. She was teaching him how to make decisions when everything seemed uncertain, how to stay calm when it felt like the world was falling apart. Finally, after hours of intense scenarios and endless decision-making, Ilya stopped and turned to him. "You've done well," she said, her voice softening just a fraction. "But I can see your weakness, Adam." He didn't know whether to take offense or be relieved. "What do you mean?" Ilya walked toward him, her eyes intense. "You hesitate. You doubt yourself. Even now I can see you second-guessing the decisions you made. You're not a soldier, Adam, but you must learn to think like one if you want. To survive what's ahead." Adam felt a weight settle on his chest. He had never been a soldier. He had never been in a position where lives depended on his every decision. But here he was, playing the part, trying to make the right choices. The pressure was intense and he wasn't sure if he was up for it. "I'll try," he said, his voice low. "You'll have to do more than try," Ilya replied. "You must believe in yourself. You must trust that the decisions you make, whether right or wrong, are the ones you are meant to make. In this galaxy, hesitation is a weakness, and that is something you cannot afford." Adam looked up at her, and for the first time that evening, he saw something beyond the tough exterior, a hint of vulnerability. Ilya was a warrior, yes, but even she had to fight against the weight of expectations, the pressure to always be right. "I'll do my best," Adam said again, feeling a new sense of determination building within him. The stakes were higher than he had imagined, but with each challenge, he was learning, growing, and becoming something more than he had been before. Ilya gave him a curt nod, signaling the end of the night. "Rest now. Tomorrow, we move on to the next test. Don't forget what you've learned." As Adam left the room, the weight of the evening lingered. He wasn't sure if he was ready for what lay ahead, but one thing was certain. He was no longer the same person who had walked into the Galactic Council's chambers days ago. Adam felt the weight of the day as he stood outside the door to the chambers of Alara, the fifth and final royal sister. He had already faced the strength of Asha, the intellect of Lyra, the emotional challenge of Selene, and the strategic mind of Ilya. Each sister had tested him in ways he hadn't imagined, pushing him to his limits and beyond. But Ilara was different. She was a mystery. Unlike her sisters, who had openly confronted him, Ilara had kept her distance, her presence barely felt in the council's dealings. He had been told she was more than just a leader. Ilara was one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, holding a position that could change the fate of entire civilizations. But what did that mean for him? What test did she have in store? The door slid open silently, and Adam stepped into a room unlike any he had seen before. The walls were lined with intricate symbols, glowing faintly in the dim light. It was beautiful in an eerie way, almost as if the room itself was alive, pulsating with energy. Ilara stood at the far side, her back to him, gazing out of a large window that overlooked the vast expanse of the galaxy. "Come in, Adam." Ilara's voice broke the silence, calm and commanding, but with an underlying warmth. "I've been waiting for you." He walked toward her, feeling a strange pull toward her presence. Unlike the others, who had each tested him with challenges of strength or mind, Ilara seemed to want something different. She didn't seem interested in forcing him into a situation. Instead, it was as if she was waiting for him to understand. Something deeper, something more fundamental. When Adam reached her, Ilara turned to face him. She was tall, with long, flowing hair that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Her eyes, dark and intense, held a wisdom that made Adam feel as though he was standing before something ancient, something that had seen the rise and fall of entire civilizations. "You've been through much," she said, her voice softer than he had expected. "But you still don't understand, do you?" Adam hesitated, unsure of how to answer. What was it that he was supposed to understand? What had he missed in all his experiences with her sisters? Ilara stepped closer, her gaze never leaving his. "You've been tested in so many ways, Adam. Each sister has shown you a different aspect of what it means to be a part of this galaxy, but none of them have shown you what truly matters. None of them have shown you what lies beneath the law." Adam's mind raced. What was she talking about? The law was simple. The peace treaty, the duty to fulfill the obligations. It was all about maintaining balance, ensuring that peace was kept. But Ilara's words seemed to suggest that there was more, something hidden beneath the surface. "I don't understand," he said, his voice barely a whisper. "What do you mean?" Ilara's lips curled into a small smile. "You've been focused on what the law demands. You've been focused on your duties, your role as a representative of Earth. But you haven't considered why the law exists in the first place, why the sisters are bound to it, why the galaxy needs peace so desperately. The law isn't just about control, Adam. It's about survival. Adam's heart skipped a beat. Survival? Yes. Ilara nodded, her expression serious. The galaxy is held together by fragile threads, Adam. The peace we all share is delicate, like a thread about to snap. The law exists because the alternative is far worse. Without it, the galaxy would fall into chaos. War would break out. Species would annihilate each other, and the very fabric of existence would tear apart. Adam swallowed hard, trying to process her words. He had always thought of the law as just something he had to follow, a necessary evil to keep the peace. But now it seemed as though it was something far more profound, something that carried the weight of the galaxy itself. But why me? Adam asked, his voice shaking slightly. Why am I the one who has to do this? Ilara stepped even closer, her gaze piercing. Because you, Adam, are the key. You are the one who can bridge the gap between humanity and the rest of the galaxy. You have the potential to unite us, to bring real peace. The law exists because of the galaxy's fragile state, but it also exists because we all need something more, something to bring us together. You, with your humanity, are that bridge. Adam's mind spun. He had never seen himself as anything more than a diplomat, just someone trying to do his job. But now, Ilara was telling him that his very existence was part of something much bigger. He wasn't just fulfilling an obligation. He was playing a role in a much larger story, one that stretched across the stars and held the future of the galaxy in the balance. Do you understand now? Ilara asked, her voice almost a whisper. Adam nodded slowly, his thoughts still racing. It wasn't just about spending a night with each sister. It wasn't just about fulfilling some ancient law. It was about something much deeper. The survival of the galaxy, the peace that held it together, depended on him. He had been chosen not just because of his role as a diplomat, but because of what he represented. I think I do, Adam said quietly. Ilara smiled, but there was no joy in it, only understanding. Good. But remember, Adam, this isn't over. The law is still in place. The challenges will continue. But now you understand what's at stake. As Ilara turned to leave, the door to the chamber sliding open behind her, Adam felt the weight of the galaxy settle on his shoulders. This wasn't just a test of strength, mind, or will. It was a test of everything that made him human, and as he stepped out into the corridor, he knew that whatever came next would be more than he could have ever prepared for. Adam stood in the grand hall, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The past days had been a blur of intense challenges, each royal sister testing him in ways he hadn't imagined. The law that had brought him here, an ancient law, binding and absolute, had forced him into situations that ranged from mental games to physical trials and even emotional manipulation. But now, after everything he had been through, Adam couldn't help but wonder if the worst was still ahead. He had completed the trials of the 5 royal sisters, each one shaping him in some way, each one revealing a new layer of the universe's complexities. Yet the true meaning of all of this, the real reason he had been summoned to the Galactic Council, still eluded him. The sisters, especially Ilara, had shown him the depth of the law's importance, but Adam still couldn't shake the feeling that there was more at stake than anyone had been willing to say outright. The sound of approaching footsteps brought Adam out of his thoughts. He turned to see Zarnok, the leader of the Galactic Council, coming toward him. His expression was unreadable, but Adam could see the weight of what was coming in the older alien's eyes. The time for questions, it seemed, was over. Adam, Zarnok's voice rumbled. You have completed the trials of the sisters. You have done what was asked of you, and you have passed each test, but now the final decision must be made. Adam swallowed. He had expected this moment, but it still felt like a punch to the gut. He had known he would face a final choice, but nothing could have prepared him for what was about to unfold. You have learned much about the law, about the galaxy, and about yourself, Zarnok continued, his gaze fixed firmly on Adam. But the true test is not in surviving the trials. It is in your understanding of the law's true purpose. You must decide now, Adam. Will you accept your place in this galaxy, or will you turn your back on it all? Adam's heart raced. What was Zarnok talking about? What choice was there? He had already fulfilled the law. He had faced each sister's trial. And now he stood before the leader of the council, ready to hear the final verdict. But this was different. This wasn't about passing tests or fulfilling obligations. This was about something far more important. Tell me what you mean, Adam said, his voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling in his chest. Zarnok paused for a moment, as if measuring his words carefully. The law was created to ensure peace between the different species in the galaxy. But as you have learned, the law is also a system of control, a way to maintain balance. The 5 sisters, bound by this law, represent the strength of their species. They are not just leaders, Adam. They are symbols of the galaxy's delicate equilibrium. Adam nodded slowly, remembering Alara's words. The galaxy was fragile, held together by a thread. He had learned that peace was not just a luxury. It was a necessity for survival. But what did this have to do with his decision? There is no peace without sacrifice, Zarnok said, his voice softening slightly. And that is where you come in. You, Adam, are not just a diplomat. You are the bridge, the one who can bring humanity into the fold of the galaxy in a way that no other species has managed. Your role here is far greater than what the law demanded. You are the key to the future of the galaxy. Adam's head spun as he processed Zarnok's words. He had thought of himself as a simple representative of Earth, fulfilling a diplomatic mission. But now, it seemed, he was being asked to do something far more complex, something that could change the course of history itself. I don't understand, Adam said, his voice thick with confusion. What are you asking me to do? Zarnok's expression remained unreadable, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes, something Adam couldn't quite place. I am asking you to decide what kind of future you want for humanity. Do you accept the role you have been given, the responsibility that comes with being the bridge between Earth and the galaxy, or will you refuse and let the galaxy continue its fragile existence without your help? Adam's mind raced. It was too much. The pressure, the responsibility. It was overwhelming. He had already gone through so much, endured so many trials, and yet this final choice felt like the hardest one yet. He thought about everything he had learned, the strength of Asha, the intellect of Lyra, the emotions of Selene, the strategies of Ilya, and the wisdom of Ilara. Each sister had taught him something valuable, something that would help him understand the weight of the choice he was facing now. The law had bound them all, but it had also shaped them into something more. And Adam, despite his doubts, had become something more too. I can't do this alone, Adam said, his voice quiet but firm. I can't be the only one making these decisions. The galaxy, Earth, it's too big for one person to bear. Zarnok nodded. You are not alone, Adam. You will have the Council's support. But you must decide whether you are ready to take your place as a leader, as someone who will unite humanity with the galaxy. The choice is yours. Adam closed his eyes for a moment, letting the weight of the decision sink in. He had come here as a diplomat, a representative of Earth. But now, Standing before Zarnok, he realized that his role was bigger than that. He had been tested in ways he never could have imagined, and now he had to make the most important choice of his life. When he opened his eyes, Adam made his decision. "I accept," he said quietly, his voice steady. "I'll do whatever it takes to ensure peace. For humanity. For the galaxy." Zarnok's eyes softened just a little. "Then you have made the right choice." As Adam stood there, feeling the weight of his decision settle on his shoulders, he knew that his journey was far from over. The challenges ahead would be greater than anything he had faced before. But for the first time since he had arrived, he felt ready.